Well, hello there, humans, hippies, earthlings, whoever you are, whatever you're doing, and if you're lucky enough indeed to be doing it too. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Bushka, and today we're going to be looking at the Tier 8 Pantera, like Pan-European Pantera, Pan-Tiddly-tastic. This is a tank that I struggled with a lot. But I looked at all the stats and the numbers, and I thought, there's no real reason for me to be struggling with this tank. And I kept playing it, I kept struggling, and then eventually she came good. It's a typical Tier 8 medium. We've talked about this before. Like, the Tier 8 meds are generally low damage, low alpha guns with 8 to 10 degrees of gun depression and around about 2k DPM. Where the Pantera really picks up the slack is in the unique auto-loading drum magazine thing it's got, where it will just consistently auto-reload. And it's also got nice pen, 203mm of pen on your AP rounds. It's just grand. There's no use running calibrated shells because the pen really isn't good enough to justify, there's no heat on it. So if you don't have heat and you're running calibrated shells, you're kind of wasting your time. It's got 8 degrees of gun depression. It's got 203mm of pen. It's got 2.35k DPM, which is good for a Tier 8 med. And it does 56 kilometers an hour with about 24 effective horsepower per ton. So the numbers scream solid tank, and the playstyle is exactly that. It's solid. You've got to be very agile, and you've got the mobility for it. You've got good traverse numbers. You've got good terrain resistance numbers. And you can see here, I'm actually running this with the engine boost rather than the raw traverse. You get about 6 more traverse in the raw traverse, and you get about another 3 degrees of traverse in the engine boost, plus you get a little bit more pickup. And I think that's really important with this tank. It's a tank that requires a definite rethink of your playstyle. It's like an RU-251 medium, but with the really interesting magazine. And as long as you're thoughtful and careful with it, you're going to be able to do good things. And even when you play in and amongst the bad boys and in the tight stuff, you can still get things done. This is very interesting. There was an IS-6 that was AFK at the back. So I don't like to shoot the AFKs when there's live tanks around, and that's exactly what I'm doing. But my auto-aim just kept jogging back to the bloody IS-6, and I'm like, dude, just aim at the freaking Helsing. And then, aim at the Helsing. I'm like, okay, bugger it. I'll just leave. And then the IS-6 wakes up, and it's like, oh, okay, watch out. Let's get out of there. Let's remove ourselves and think about life in another place. Something that you need to understand with this tank is that its big advantage over the other mediums is that even as a low alpha tank, it can output 450 damage very, very quickly. In fact, in 3 seconds. If you're looking at a tank like the Centurion or the Panther or any of those tanks, they have low alpha, but they also have to have 4, 5, 6 seconds between shots, and then they build it up. Over 30 seconds, they might put more alpha in than you, but more damage in than you, but your ability to jump out and double tap is really, really clutch. The thing it falls down on is when you're reloading. If you are completely empty, your DPM is in the pooper. You want to absolutely play this to the point where you're getting out of there. And you see how I waited for my second shell to reload there? There's a really obvious reason for that, but your DPM is a lot better when you've got another one in the pipe, and the reload is a lot quicker. Reloading the last shell allows you to have 2 to go, whereas if you fire them both really quickly and then keep going through 1 and then 1 and then 1, you're really going to lower your burst damage if something else turns up. And there was a Borsig running around here somewhere, so I don't want to have just 1 shell in the clip. I want to make sure that I've got 2 in case the Borsig rolls out, and lo and behold, there she is. How did I find the tank in comparison to other Tier 8 mediums? I actually think it's pretty good. It's not a hull down tank. It has a generous helping of gun depression. 8 degrees of gun depression is fine. But It's just too fragile armor-wise. You can side scrape this against other mediums with low caliber guns because you've got, I think it's a 50mm side plate angled at like 10 to 15 degrees. So it's a lot like a German tank in its side armor there. You can see the steepness of that angle, and that allows you to get an auto bounce zone against low caliber guns that just can't overmatch it. And that's great. And that gives you some options when you're in situations like this. Like I've gone very aggressively here. I like to go aggressively here because I feel like there's a spot that you can take advantage of, and the fact that this has the ability to burst out a big bunch of damage means that anyone that rolls up here, I'm going to be able to put a lot of hurt on very, very quickly, and then hopefully the T-44 can help finish that target off. And there is in fact the tier 7 variant of the Pantera just there she blows, and you're going to see me using the upper plate, which is actually only going to give you about 175mm of pen a bounce at that kind of an angle, but because I was rolling backwards, it just doesn't quite land, and that's great for me. See, I'm waiting for that second shell to pop in again. It's a beautiful thing that it's always reloading for you. At all times, the tank is reloading. It's like an auto-loader for dummies. And I know I've said that before, but it's really great. Like, quite often what you'll do is you'll find yourself in a situation where you think you don't have another shell in the clip, and there's a shell there, and you're like, ah, isn't that nice? Great work, Bushka. You're an idiot. I did solicit replays from you clowns to do this video. And I'll be showing you one of those from Fulgori in just a second. Top of the scent, I know from experience that you can pen the top of the turret there. You got no chance on the gun mantle. And here comes the big bopper, bloody KV5. Well, you are going to see me do a couple of things here with this KV5. I try and side scrape, which is obviously going to go okay. I really want to make sure that Helsing doesn't push up, because if he gets aggressive, he could give us some trouble. I get my angle very, very flat here. And you can see we bounce a couple from the Helsing and one from the KV5 as well. And that's great, but it's not like it's not a guarantee. You just don't have enough. See that? That's just gone straight through. Hey, that's just gone absolutely straight through. So you don't want to do it against really big boppers. Like anyone that's got a decent caliber gun, like over 90mm, is going to give you strife. You know, it's just too much. And what I'm doing here is I'm third-personing this KV5 without really... I've just gone to APCR, and I'm not even going to zoom in here. I'm just going to pop and stop so that I can see if he starts turning towards me like that, and pull back, and then roll back out. And I know I've got time here, so I'm going to zoom in. Going to try and sneak one out and duck back before he pops again. And this is where the Pantera is really good. Like that, because it's not an autoloader, you don't have to make a decision there. Am I going to reload, or am I going to wait for this one last one to pop out? No, I'm not going to reload. I'm just going to let it happen. I go for the kill shot here with AP. I should have just relied on getting another round of APCR through the bottom. And that was my mistake there. I thought the scent that had hit me was actually the KV5, and it was the scent that had fired. So I copped one from the scent, and then a moment later, another one from the KV5, which is just unfortunate. That's how life goes. So overall, I really enjoyed this tank. I had a good time driving it, and I was expecting it to come good. I really was, because the numbers just screamed on paper that it was a reasonable vehicle that you could rely on to do pretty well. I love the camo too. The legendary camo on this looks really nice. I do like it. That tan and dark rusty black is pretty cool. Let's have a look at Fulgori's game here on, I think he's on NA. So Fulgori's popped out to the C-cap on the heavy line. Now he's really pumped the gas there, used the engine boost that he's running, and you can use an engine boost on this because obviously you can't run adrenaline, so your active consumable is always going to be an engine boost, which is kind of nice. I like having that decision made for you. And he's looking to engage. You can see there's a Scorp just moving up from down there. He's getting an eyeball on it. No, it's still behind a big-ass hill, which is always a problem. Wife just sent me a message. 1 second. Come downstairs and have 2 pieces of gluten-free pizza with your offspring. I love her. Oh, hi, honey bunny. Let me just polish out this last review. Look at the pace on the thing. It can move. It really can move. There's no way around that. If you enjoy a tank that's mobile, you will enjoy this vehicle. For a tier 8 tank particularly, it gets the job done in terms of mobility. The thing that I find surprising about it is, and I shouldn't, because it doesn't have any armor. There's a lot of tanks that have never made any sense to me. Like the T-54 lightweight is bat poop insanely quick. It has always been insanely quick. And yet you look at so many other tanks with the same kind of tank style and type with less armor and no camo, like a light tank camo, and they can't do 70 kilometers an hour, and it feels weird, man. Like the Pantera though, it doesn't have any real armor, and it goes flat out, and it really does move and shake. And there's a lot of these mediums at tier 8, like the Scent, the Panther. They don't really have that top end speed. They really don't. Or they have top end speed, but they're slow to get there. The Pantera, and I do run the engine boost with it, is pretty cool. It gets through a fair amount of work in terms of acceleration, and its traverse is absolutely on par with the best tanks in its tier. Now, where it's going to fall down all the time is if you drive it lazy. If you drive lazy with this tank and you don't pay attention to where the bad guys are, you are going to suffer tremendously, because unlike a lot of heavy tanks or even some of the Russian and Chinese mediums, when they get found out in bad positions, they can swing their tank around and face a good chunk of armor to the bad guys. You can't. Your whole point of this tank is not getting caught in those compromising positions and then coming in and dumping 3 shells quickly. Now you saw that was like nearly 500 damage from this tank in no short order, because it was absolutely flying around that corner and able to dump it off in 3 seconds. It's 3 seconds is your reload time between shells. And while he was doing that COD around the Tiger 2, after it got killed and got hit by the next Pantera who was rolling in, it reloaded to 3 full shells, and that allowed him to dump an extra load of love in the pier over there, the other Pantera. There he goes. Tap, tap, taparoo. Another, and Cyclone through. Now he is really motoring. The 28 Proto has decided that he is going to put his little gun up in the air and be happy with the result. And that's the NA server for you. God bless him. Lots of mobility on the Pantera, lots of traverse, lots of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys give this line a go, because it is absolutely worth its weight in gold. A lovely tank, the Progetto, the Standard B, and the Pantera at tier 8 is every inch a quality vehicle worth a quality drive. Until next time, look after yourselves and stay safe on the battlefield. Bye for now.